So he's just one of those guys that there's a reason he's going into the Hall of Fame, because he's that type of guy that you want on your team.
Toby has been one of the great gifts to the game of golf that Nashville's ever known.
Her ability to outwork you, her ability to out-recruit you.
There's no one more deserving of this honor than Javon.
He loved Tennessee. He loved his teammates.
That was Dave. So I guess that does make him a trailblazer, doesn't it?
But she's always been that point of your life that always gives you some kind of happiness.
I think his longevity in the NFL is a direct result of his work ethic.
Skating in, McLean out to meet him. Leguan taking the backhander, he scores!
To this day, people call him Wiz. His teammates told him was the wizard.
Could score the ball from pretty much anywhere, inside out.
He was very consistent, helping us understand that it's more about the game of life.
Welcome to Bridgestone Arena in downtown Nashville and the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. I'm Mike Keith, and this is our Class of 2022 Hall of Fame special presented by our great friends at the Tennessee Lottery. Over the next hour, we're going to introduce you to all of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame's inductees for this class and our honorees for 2022. You're going to meet people from all over the state, and we're going to cover virtually every sport imaginable. We're going to pack a lot into this hour, so we hope you'll join us. We'll tell you a lot more about the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame and the induction banquet that we're going to have in person on July 23rd in Nashville. Executive Director Brad Willis will join us for that. But let's dive right into our inductees list for 2022. And it's only fitting to go first. Will be the first ever Tennessee Titan. Here is the freak, Javon Kearse.
When the Titans first arrived in Tennessee, they had the makings of a good team. MVP caliber quarterback, strong running back, and a stout defense. But with the addition of Javon Kearse in the 1999 draft, the team became great. He had earned himself a scholarship at the University of Florida and went on to become one of the best players the school had ever seen.
At the University of Florida, Javon Kearse was a beast. My University of Syracuse football team got to see that in '98 in the Orange Bowl at a 35-0 loss to him and his teammates.
I mean, he was like a gazelle hunting down a sloth and a quarterback. It was just some of the most amazing things to see how fast he beat offensive tackles.
He definitely lived up to the F-R-E-A-K.
Yeah, his nickname, I mean, the Freak. I mean, it's fitting.
His college achievements and accolades were outstanding. But when he got to the NFL, he truly shined.
Sorry, I'm gonna go and check this dude out. So I think I went into the rookie meeting room and looked at this guy, checked him out. Size, stature, everything, just a chiseled monster.
Javon not only won Defensive Rookie of the Year, but he helped lead the Titans to their first Super Bowl appearance.
You can't put a 350-pound offensive tackle, trying to, like race against a cheetah. I mean, it doesn't work.
On the field, Javon Kearse is a straight savage. Off the field, one of the most kind-hearted, funniest guys I know.
There's no one more deserving of this honor than Javon. Long overdue and well-deserved for my man, my brother, my teammate.
We'd like to welcome Javon Kearse into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, Class of 2022.
The thing that jumps out most about Javon Kearse, his speed. So we're going to go from a fast football player to an incredibly fast track athlete. Former University of Tennessee star and an Olympian, and a 2022 inductee into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. Let's meet Sharifa Barksdale.
Because, University of Tennessee was her dream school. It was her dream school. And I feel like that made strong characteristics who she is today.
During her time at the University of Tennessee, Sharifa Barksdale was a 12-time All-American who won 4 indoor and outdoor NCAA titles.
For what I can remember, she has just started running the 400-meter hurdles. And it seems like her second race, she set the American record.
In 1981, she also won the 4x400 relay at the AIAW National Championship. In all, she claimed 11 SEC titles, and was an important part of the 1981 Women's AIAW Outdoor National Championship team that gave the University of Tennessee Lady Vols its first national championship.
She made that commitment, run the 400-meter hurdle, so it was a whole new event she learned, and certainly it was a great year for her as she set world records.
Sharifa became the first woman in the history of the 400-meter hurdles to run under 55 seconds, and later broke the American record in a time of 54:90. She went on to make the United States Olympic team in 1984, placing 9th overall at the Los Angeles Olympics.
She's incredibly charismatic. She's very passionate. I could tell that track and field was a part of the fabric of who she is.
The things she does outside of the sport, she really cares about people. She started doing motivational speaking after she left the sport because she wanted to share her story and share that other people should strive to be driven in their own paths as well.
But she's always been that point of your life that always gives you some kind of happiness, some kind of joy, some kind of encouragement.
We welcome Sharifa Barksdale into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2022.
Harry Galbraith is not the most famous Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer to come out of Clarksville, Tennessee. That would be Wilma Rudolph, of course. But there aren't many who were better or stronger or kinder than big number 76 from the University of Tennessee, who went on to a great NFL career. Harry Galbraith, unfortunately, is no longer with us, and he is missed for his incredible spirit. But people who saw him play and played with him and against him certainly remember him well and know why Harry Galbraith is now in the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame.
His nickname was Harry Love. Everybody called him Harry Love, and because he loved everybody.
The Clarksville native dominated the offensive line at Tennessee, where he played in every game he suited up for.
Harry was one of my favorite players, if not my favorite players that I coached as an assistant coach or a head coach.
Harry was only about 6'1". Normally Tennessee goes after guys who are about 6'3" to 6'6", somewhere in that area. But Harry played like he was 6'10" because he was so dominating and he always controlled the line of scrimmage.
He earned All-America recognition in 1987 and was awarded the Jacobs Trophy, an honor bestowed upon the SEC's top blocker.
And when he found out that he won the Jacobs Award, he knew that there was a possibility for him to be drafted in NFL. And I sat with him the day of the draft when he got drafted by the Miami Dolphins, which was an exciting day for him just to see my friend being drafted.
The most surprising thing was it was about his competitive drive. I mean, you're an undersized guy. This showed his work ethic.
When he left playing, he started a coaching career and came back to me in the summer, one summer, and showed me all the drills that he would laid out in video, and we sat and watched and critiqued each other along the way, and I knew then he was really serious about being a good coach. So
Harry Galbraith left his mark on Tennessee in more ways than one.
He loved Tennessee. He loved his teammates. He loved me, and I loved him, and he knew it.
He's definitely a guy worth remembering, and a guy that, when you think about him, you smile.
We welcome Harry Galbraith into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2022.
Of all of the honors that the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame presents every year, the most prestigious is Tennessean of the Year, an individual, an organization, or a team that brings great honor to our state. This year, our 2022 Tennessean of the Year is John Ingram, who made soccer something incredibly special in our state and something that's going to grow for years to come.
If you've been around Nashville for the last few years, there's a very good chance you've noticed a new team jersey circulating among the masses, the Nashville Soccer Club.
Nashville Soccer Club doesn't happen without John Ingram. Not only as the majority owner, but his vision and his passion and drive for making it a reality.
He's sure
a really big opportunity to bring the franchise to Nashville sooner rather than later.
John Ingram has and will continue to be an important name for sports in Tennessee.
Geodis Park is referred to by our fans as the castle, and to have essentially like a cathedral that all our fans can now go to support this team that John grew really from the ashes.
The atmosphere there has been as good as anywhere.
Yeah, this was a bid process with other cities, other ownership groups, all vying for the idea of having a Major League Soccer team in their city, and there's no question that John was a driving force to make that happen here.
A remarkable story, and I'm sure in years to come, there'll be plenty of people talking about how it actually came true and what it took to make it come true.
We'd like to honor John Ingram with this year's Tennessean of the Year award.
The Tennessean of the Year is presented annually by the Tennessee Lottery. When we come back on this Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame special, let's hit inductees in men's and women's basketball and football. That's up next. Stay with us.
You can make a lot of things with the dollar. At the Tennessee Education Lottery, we think they make a difference. That's why we're proud to have raised more than $6 billion for education. The Tennessee Education Lottery. Game-changing, life-changing fun.
Dives in there and gets it ahead to James. Here we go. Back slant. And the crowd to its feet and Thompson bowling. This Matt Clown's not heard of it here. Brooks about ready to come on top of the circle. Pulls back, fires a long three. Going up to the Ziggy. The cross-court pass stolen by James. James goes in for the slam with the left hand. Wear him out, baby. The Volunteers complete an undefeated home season.
Tennessee, you can see live music until 3 a.m. And just like that, you're a morning person. Your vacation is now playing in Tennessee.
The Pat Summitt Lifetime Achievement Award is presented by Curb Records. Our recipient, the late Dean Hayes, Middle Tennessee State head track and field coach. Dean Hayes served as Middle Tennessee State's track and field coach for 57 years before he passed away this past January the 22nd. During his tenure, Hayes guided Middle Tennessee to 59 conference championships, had 125 All-Americans, and finished in the NCAA's top 25 21 times. He was a coach for the Summer Olympic Games in Seoul, South Korea in 1988, and is a member of 7 Halls of Fame. Dean Hayes, the winner of the Pat Summitt Lifetime Achievement Award presented by Curb Records. Man, do they play basketball in West Tennessee. And I'm talking about men's and women's basketball. It was in Collierville, Tennessee, where Nikki McCray Penson got her start on a basketball court, and it's led her all the way to the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame.
I always said to remember who you are and who you represent. And boy, has Nikki represented the University of Tennessee.
During her time as a Lady Vol, Nikki McCray Penson and the Lady Vols posted a 122-11 record. She was a 2-time All-American, 2-time SEC Player of the Year, and was named to the 1995 Final Four All-Tournament team.
In college, she became a true defensive player. Like Pat said, you're a defensive player. She embraced it and truly it set her off on I think the course that she went on, which was to the Olympics. And then of course, professionally.
It's official. The United States has the best women's basketball team in the world.
Nikki went on to play her first WNBA season in 1998 with the Washington Mystics. Nikki was a 3-time WNBA All-Star and earned her second gold medal at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney, Australia.
She always was the one that would rise to the occasion, to be the leader, to huddle us, to gather us, to put her arms around us. And that's probably one of the good reasons why she went into coaching.
She received a Conference USA Coach of the Year honor in 2020 for turning around the Old Dominion University program as the coach there.
Her ability to outwork you, her ability to out-recruit you, her coaching style and being able to talk to players and have a great relationship with them.
Coach McCray is really she's so special to me because I really could go to her about anything, and she was always so honest and caring.
We proudly welcome Nikki McCray Penson into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2022.
They say that offensive linemen don't get enough love, but in the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, that's absolutely not true. In our class of 2022, you've already met Harry Galbraith from the University of Tennessee. Now how about Artis Hicks, a Memphis Tiger who originally hailed from Jackson? We welcome him to the class of 2022.
The Memphis Tigers have had some incredible athletes through the years. Artis Hicks, a star offensive lineman for the Tigers, is one of those athletes.
Artis was a Sporting News freshman All-American, Conference USA, had a fantastic career, started 43 games on the offensive line.
The thing that I do remember the most about Artis is his ability to work.
But Artis was maybe one of the largest players on the football team, height-wise, size-wise, so he commanded attention real quick. He started 4 years, as a true freshman on. But very, very rarely does that happen. He's loyal, and you hear that today. An Artis talks about Memphis, the University of Memphis football. He talks about the greatest program in the state. I have no idea why he was undrafted, but it was a blessing.
He's not going to be denied. He showed that early in high school. I believe he went to Philadelphia first, and ended up starting in the Super Bowl, I think his 3rd year.
I think he was a leader on each team that he played on just by his example, his work ethic.
Artis has given himself a chance to play for a long time, 11 seasons in the NFL, because he's so smart. He's a tough guy, he's very athletic, really be able to play into the guard positions, right or left guard, or right or left tackle. And I think his intelligence and that position flexibility allowed him to play 11 seasons at a high level in the NFL.
I think his longevity in the NFL is a direct result of his work ethic.
Being from Jackson, Tennessee, he loves the state. He loves the city of Memphis. He loves the city of Jackson, and he's constantly giving back, helping out the community, being a coach, a mentor to a lot of young men and women in the area.
A man named Billy Graham once said that coaches impact more people in 1 year than most people do in a lifetime. Well, I feel like you could turn that to artists as an athlete.
We'd like to welcome Artis Hicks into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2022.
If Dean Hayes, our Pat Summitt Lifetime Achievement Award winner, is MTSU track, then this next inductee is Maryville College basketball. We welcome Randy Lambert to the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. He's a Maryville Scot through and through.
At the time, Coach Lambert was maybe the youngest NCAA basketball coach in the country.
Dad took the Maryville College job, and he was 2 years older than this senior class. And to pair with that, he coached there for 40 years.
He has the ability to connect with young people unlike anyone I've ever known. He was able to connect to each and every one of us to play for the bigger cause. He was really big in giving up of yourself, and he was very big about the M on the front of our chest in Maryville, and that if we have team success, everybody has success.
His quiet leadership style, respect and attention from players just by the way he conducted himself.
What he doesn't get a lot of credit for is he was actually a pretty good basketball player too.
He was a smooth lefty, man. You can still see it even today.
He's actually in the top 10 in scoring at Maryville College.
He's getting nominated for the Hall of Fame, not just for basketball, just for life.
This is how much Coach Lambert, see, that's him right there. And so I keep him in my office because that's him saying, get my ass to work,
He was very consistent teaching these things to us and helping us understand that it's more about the game of life, right? And you want to be a good dad, you want to be a good citizen, you want to be a giver to your community, you want to be a good brother, a good friend. Coach really took that part of his job very serious to prepare us to be successful people in the real world.
He truly is a coach for life.
We'd like to welcome Randy Lambert into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2022.
The Hoops theme stays prominent as we meet our female and male professional athletes of the year, presented by Tennessee Athletics. Our female professional athlete of the year is Candace Parker of the Chicago Sky. Candace joined the Sky last season and led them to the playoffs as the number 6 overall seed. And then they shocked the WNBA world by winning the league's championship, her second championship as a player. Candace was also recognized by a panel of media as one of the 25 most influential players in the league's history. Our male professional athlete of the year is Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. One of the top point guards in the NBA, Ja's third year in the league has been his best so far. 27 points per game, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds. He was named to the 2022 NBA All-Star Game for the first time in his career and was a starter for the West team. He led Memphis to the second best record in the Western Conference. When the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame Class of 2022 special presented by the Tennessee Lottery continues, we hit you with a lot of history, including women who changed it all. Stay tuned.
You can make a lot of things with the dollar. At the Tennessee Education Lottery, we think they make a difference. That's why we're proud to have raised more than $6 billion for education. The Tennessee Education Lottery. Game-changing, life-changing fun.
music is everywhere in Tennessee. The instruments, however, may vary. Your vacation is now playing in Tennessee.
The David Williams Significant Historical Achievement Award is presented by Alexander Thompson Arnold, PLLC. This year, we recognize the Title IX 50th anniversary. 2022 marks the 50th anniversary of Title IX, which gave women athletes the right to equal opportunity in sports in educational institutions that receive federal funds, from elementary schools to colleges and universities. Title IX was signed into law on June 23, 1972. The state of Tennessee has seen many contributors to the advancement of Title IX, and this year's David Williams Significant Historical Achievement Award will serve as a spotlight to those contributors. Some of those pioneers in the state of Tennessee are Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers, such as Pat Summitt from the University of Tennessee, Mary Nell Metters, Tennessee Tech, Betty Giles, UT Martin, Betty Wiseman, Belmont, Nera White, Nashville School of Business, Joan Cronin, University of Tennessee, June Stewart, Vanderbilt, and countless others. The Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the 50th anniversary of Title IX with its David Williams Significant Historical Achievement Award. David Williams changed the history of sports in the state of Tennessee, in particular for Vanderbilt University, but quite frankly in a lot of different ways. So this year, we honor him with not just a name on an award, but by inducting David Williams into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame.
One of the greatest honors in life is leaving the world knowing you made it a better place. The late David Williams did just that.
You know, it's funny, David never had this career goal, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. David was just born an educator. As time went on, he was asked to do different things, and his leadership skills and his visionary skills just sort of came out. He was asked to come to Vanderbilt, to be the first African-American vice chancellor and general counsel and secretary to the Board of Trust here at Vanderbilt. And from there, he took on a multitude of other roles and then ultimately decided to just do one job, which is just the athletic director job.
David used to blow up my calendar all the time, especially if there was a kid who wanted to come talk to him. They were his focus.
He saw the holistic approach to all these student athletes and all these athletes across Tennessee and how we make them better as individuals and how we make the society better as a whole and how athletics can do that. So I think as a whole, he really saw everybody for everything and who they were.
He was always putting something in front of our staff and our leaders in the department to make the kids' experiences better.
I know that other people know him as a pioneer, a trailblazer. I know him as that too. I know him as one who was an advocate and a champion for diversity, equity, and inclusion, a champion for social justice, a champion for student athletes and for people and students in general.
Dave just knew he had a responsibility to the world, to humankind, and through his scholarship and through his commitment to make everything better. Anywhere, everywhere, anything he touched, that was Dave. So I guess that does make him a trailblazer, doesn't it?
We proudly welcome David Williams into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2022.
A lot of great families who have made a difference in sports in the state of Tennessee. The Wilt family would certainly be considered in that. And at the top of that list is Toby Wilt. When you think Toby Wilt, you think golf. And now you think of him as a Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer.
If you've played golf in or around Tennessee in the past several decades, chances are you've heard of Mr. Toby Wilt.
I think Toby is the embodiment of the game of golf. And by that, I mean he treasures the game. He's passionate about it. He's protective of it. He lives his life with the way that golf is played, with high integrity.
Toby's quite the astute businessman. He was a CPA for some period of time, and then was a mover and shaker in the banking industry in Tennessee.
Toby Wilt's impact as a businessman in Tennessee is well known, but it started at Vanderbilt University.
So Toby and I met on the football field as freshmen at Vanderbilt University. I think that's about 1962.
Toby graduated from Vanderbilt, but he never stopped giving to the school and to the state.
So he took his business acumen and transferred it into athletics.
His huge fingerprints on the Golf Club of Tennessee and bringing a course like that to our area, I think Toby has been one of the great gifts to the game of golf that Nashville's ever known.
Toby was a co-founder to the Golf Club of Tennessee. It was ranked the best new golf course in the United States a year or two after it was founded. He established a scholarship, maybe one of the first golfing scholarships at Vanderbilt. Brent Snedeker was the first person that was in there. He called the first tee at the Masters for 25 years. And in doing that, he met a lot of people, and a lot of people got to know him.
Well, when you think of Nashville sports over the last 25 years, you certainly think of Toby Wilt as one of the people who really put Nashville on the map as a founding member of not only the National Sports Council, but the Music City Bowl. And then over the years, really became one of those great ambassadors for our city and our city sports scene.
Toby was and continues to be a strong businessman in Tennessee. We'd like to welcome Toby Wilt into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2022.
The architect of the Predators, David Poile, was inducted into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame last year. In 2020, Terry Crisp, their legendary broadcaster, came into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. So now it's time for a Predators player. Up first, David Legwan.
If you look in the Nashville Predators record book, you won't be surprised to find a name that shows up time and time again. The first player the franchise ever drafted, David Legwan. And that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, first time I saw David play was he just grabs your attention right away. He was an unbelievable skater, just dynamic for a young kid. At that time, he was only 17 years of age.
He would churn, and it would look like he was doing absolutely nothing,
but he floated across the ice.
You had to get to know him. He was a quiet individual, believe it or not, and he didn't want the limelight for whatever reason. And Pete and I would interview him, and we'd get the best stuff from Leggy off the air.
Outstanding stick handler, and that was something I don't think people paid enough attention to. But because he was so good that way, he set up others. And I think he was more content to be a setup guy than a scorer himself. His longevity is absolutely incredible, particularly in today's hockey, because guys just don't, I'm not saying hang around, he earned his spot every year.
When your number one pick of all time stays with your franchise so long and does so much, there are so many of those wonderful memories with David Legwand around this team, with or without a jersey on.
He was the first. He was our number one pick, sort of the leader in a lot of areas when we first started the franchise. So he will always be a big part of the Predators' history, and he'll be a big part of my life.
Thanks for that, Leggy.
Skating in, McLean out to meet him. Legwand digging, the back there, he scores! And the Predators win in overtime on a penalty shot by David Legwand.
We'd like to welcome David Legwand into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2022.
As we continue with the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame Class of 2022 special, presented by the Tennessee Lottery, it's time for us to meet our female and male Amateur Athletes of the Year, presented by the TSSAA. Our female Amateur Athlete of the Year is Rachel Heck from Stanford. Rachel Heck is a native of Memphis and a graduate of St. Agnes Academy. A 5-time All-America selection and a 2-time USA Today Golfer of the Year, in 2021, she became the NCAA's individual golf champion for the Cardinal. Our male Amateur Athlete of the Year is Jack Leiter from Vanderbilt's baseball team. A first-team All-America selection himself, he was the 2nd overall pick of the Texas Rangers in the 2021 Major League Baseball Draft. He was also named All-Tournament at the College World Series last year. Congratulations to Rachel Heck and Jack Leiter. When the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame Class of 2022 special continues, we talk to a Cy Young Award winner, the Wizard, and a Nashville basketball legend. Stay tuned.
You can make a lot of things with the dollar. At the Tennessee Education Lottery, we think they make a difference. That's why we're proud to have raised more than $6 billion for education. The Tennessee Education Lottery. Game-changing, life-changing fun.
For a three for the lead, and they get it! Sarah Puckett for three! And Tennessee back where they belong in the Sweet 16.
The rhythmic sound of more than 500 cascading waterfalls. The endless echo of more than 10,000 caves. The serene silence of 1,000 miles of wilderness trails. The next time someone tells you to get lost, consider it an opportunity. Your vacation is now playing in Tennessee.
The Professional Team of the Year is presented by the Nashville Sports Council. We recognize the Memphis Grizzlies, who posted a 56-26 record and earned the #2 overall seed in the Western Conference. The Grizzlies won the Southwest Division this past season, marking the first time the franchise has won a division championship. Their 56 wins tie the most in franchise history, equaling the 2012-2013 squad. Congratulations to our Professional Team of the Year, the Memphis Grizzlies. Hard to say that anybody being inducted into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame in 2022 has a more incredible story than R.A. Dickey. Baseball is his sport, but my goodness, from NBA to Tennessee to the minor leagues to the big leagues, from being a fastballer to turning into a knuckleballer, how did he do it? Congratulations to Robert Allen Dickey, a member of the class of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame.
R.A. Dickey is what Tennessee Volunteer sports are all about.
He was a three-sport guy, could play any sport and play it really well. But everybody knew once he got to college and concentrated on baseball where that was going to go.
We knew R.A. was going to be a draftable kind of guy, and we didn't know, where he would be. You never know that until draft day. But he got drafted by Detroit Tigers, and I think he felt like he could better himself by going to college, and we felt like he could too, and we were glad he decided to come to wear the orange.
For the Volunteers, R.A. shined, with accolades including SEC Pitcher of the Year, 2-time SEC champion, 3-time All-American, and academic All-American, just to name a few.
Ultra competitive, an amazing kid, raised really well, just well-mannered, super respectful, but his competitiveness was second to none, and that just is what made him such a special athlete.
R.A. went out as a freshman that year. He lost his first game at Miami, and then he won 15 straight games.
No one could ever foresee that a freshman could win 15 games, but we knew his competitiveness.
R.A. went on to play for 21 years professionally, checking several more honors off the list along the way.
And once he lost his fastball, then he developed the knuckleball, and that ended up extending his career and even making him probably a more effective pitcher because he ended up winning the Cy Young Award.
R.A. Dickey was famous for never wanting mound visits from his catcher. And I get out to the mound, and he looked at me and said, "Just go behind the plate and catch the ball." That was the last mound visit I made with R.A. unless the skipper sent me out there.
So he's just one of those guys that, there's a reason he's going into the Hall of Fame, because he's that type of guy that you want on your team.
We proudly welcome R.A. Dickey into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2022.
Think about schoolboy stars in Nashville, and R.A. Dickey is certainly one of those. Our next inductee would be on that list as well, but his sport, basketball. I'm talking about David Suttoth, who came up playing hoops in the city of Nashville and went on to become one of the all-time great scorers in college basketball history.
Local basketball in Tennessee is nothing to take lightly. Dreams are made and crushed at local gyms and courts.
Everybody said if you want to be any good, you got to go down to Hartman Park, play basketball.
That the left side was the little boy court. The right side was the big boy court. Where David would come down and watch me, and he would sit in between courts and just watch all the players play.
One day, a guy went down with a twisted ankle, and they looked that way, and we, of course, paused, and you're hoping your name gets called. They say, give us David. They looked at Reggie and said, "Is he ready?" And Reggie just looked back and said, "He better be."
David was a legend in high school, and back in that day, you didn't have ESPN or all that kind of stuff. You read about him in the paper, you heard about him on the radio. People crammed into the gyms to try to watch David Suttoth play.
When David went to Trevecca, he was in town where many of his friends, his family, ex-coaches like myself, we could come and see him play. But he was an amazing player that probably could have played just about anywhere that he wanted to at that time.
Could score the ball from pretty much anywhere, inside out. I mean, he was phenomenal and a phenomenal shooter.
He had the most assists, the most rebounds, and the most career points when he left here.
Went there and left his mark on the school, and the school also left a mark on him. He's just a good quality guy.
He just has the whole city backing him. They're really just proud of him. He represented the Southern family well.
For him to be the all-time leading scorer at Trevecca, you know, they couldn't have a better person out there as their face of their men's basketball program.
We're proud to welcome David Sudduth into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2022.
There are over 500 members of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. And as you walk through the hall here at Bridgestone Arena, look around for all their great nicknames, like Chattanooga head football coach Scrappy Moore, Ed Too Tall Jones, Jack Hacksaw Reynolds, Boots Donlin, Penny Hardaway. I could go on and on. Nothing like a good nickname, but maybe none better than the Wizard. And now we have a wizard in the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame as per the class of 2022. In case you didn't know, the Wizard is Tony White.
Volunteer basketball has always been something special. The great teams, coaches, and players have left a special mark on the state. Of those greats, one player holds the record for the most points scored in a single game, and that man is the Wizard, Tony White.
It wasn't a bad shot in Tony's eye, man, because he could really score. He could really score the basketball.
When we found out about it, that he was going to UT, everybody chimed in, congratulated him, everything, and it was a good thing.
As soon as he got to school, you could see he had confidence.
He had the school record. He had 51, but 17 of them were made free throws. I think he was 17 for 18 from the line.
I tell you, he was just on fire.
He made every free throw. Auburn kept fouling him. I remember being in the stands and thinking, is he going to get to 50? They're going to keep fouling him. And they did. And I knew he was going to make them. You could see it in his eyes. You could see the team rallying around him. To this day, people call him Wiz. His teammates, his friends. Tony was the Wizard.
Tony went on to have a long, successful career in overseas basketball, playing professionally from 1988 to 2000.
When I heard about Tony's condition with leukemia, it was shocking.
It was a tough situation, but one thing about Tony, he doesn't give up.
And I could still hear him say this over and over again: full court press, baby, full court press. And that's the way he attacked cancer, the same way he attacked the rim when he was playing for the Vols.
Charismatic guy, fans loved him. He was great off the floor. And he still has the same attitude to this day.
We'd like to welcome Tony White, the Wizard, into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame.
Time now for one of my favorite parts of our annual show, and that is honoring our amateur male and female teams of the year. And this is presented by our friends at Bristol Motor Speedway. Our female amateur team of the year, the Tennessee Southern women's soccer team. Tennessee Southern captured the NAIA National Championship and was ranked #1 in the final NAIA Top 25 national poll. Tennessee Southern defeated previously undefeated and #1 seed William Carey in the NAIA National Championship game. Our male amateur team of the year is East Tennessee State football. East Tennessee State put together a remarkable year in which it posted an 11-2 overall record and reached the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs before falling to second-seeded North Dakota State. The Bucks won the Southern Conference, marking their 5th conference championship in program history. When we come back, we'll tell you how you can get involved with the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame and about the most unusual induction banquet in Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame history. That's next. Stay tuned.
You can make a lot of things with the dollar. At the Tennessee Education Lottery, we think they make a difference. That's why we're proud to have raised more than $6 billion for education. The Tennessee Education Lottery. Game-changing, life-changing fun.
in Tennessee, you can see live music until 3 a.m. And just like that, you're a morning person. Your vacation is now playing in Tennessee.
The Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame Class of 2022 special, presented by the Tennessee Lottery, continues with Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame Executive Director Brad Willis. Great class for 2022, inductees and honorees, and we're going to get to honor everyone in person again this year.
It's exciting. It's been a long time. When we look back, it'll be 3 years from the last Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame induction that took place in 2019. So to be able to get this group together and celebrate the class of 2022, something we're really, really excited about.
July 23rd at the Omni, and tickets are available.
That's right. You can go to our website, which is tshf.net. Log on there and we'll get you taken care of. You can buy tables, you can buy individual tickets. It's going to be a great night, and we're super excited that we're going to be able to get everybody back together to celebrate sports in our state.
And at the banquet, 3 classes are going to be honored.
You're right. And we haven't been able to have a banquet for the last 2 years. So the classes of 2020 and 2021, we've not been able to honor them in person. So in addition to this great class that you've heard about over the last hour, we're also going to honor the classes of 2020 and 2021 at the Omni on July 23rd.
I remind you, go to tshf.net for tickets, July 23rd at the Omni. But you can always come visit the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. Lots of great things going on here. Place looks fantastic.
Thank you very much. It's a great opportunity when folks come to downtown Nashville. They're taking in all the spots. We want to be on that list. So when you visit the Bridgestone Arena and the Visitor Center here, we want you to come in and take a free tour of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. Lots of great stories from the last hundreds of years, really, that you can learn about sports in our state. We aim to tell all those stories, and we do it right here at the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame.
Very educational, and you saw earlier in this very program, we honored the 50th anniversary of Title IX. And when you think about sports in the state of Tennessee, the female participation and the honors and the contribution, incredible. For young women, this is a very special place to come, learn about the history of sport in this state and the empowerment that women have gained through athletics.
The 50th anniversary of Title IX is a great opportunity for us to tell that story. But for us, that's a story we tell every year. And when you come through, you're going to learn about Pat Summitt. You're going to learn about Wilma Rudolph and Tracy Calkins and so many others. We aim to tell that story because the women of Tennessee are a big part of sports in our state.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about how you can contribute to the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame to help keep this thing running and growing.
Absolutely. Become a member. Support us financially. You can do it at our website, tshf.net. We have a Venmo account, which is @TN-sports. So there's no shortage of ways people can get involved. follow us on social media, because as we do events, we want you to be here. We want you to be a part of that, starting with the banquet on July 23rd.
We hope to see you at that banquet at the Omni on July 23rd. We'd love to see you here at the Bridgestone Arena to visit the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. We'd love for you to become a member of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. However you do it, get involved, because this is your Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. And in the state of Tennessee, athletics aren't just about the games, they're about our communities. For Brad Willis, I'm Mike Keith. Thanks for joining us for the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame Class of 2022 special, presented by the Tennessee Lottery.